So in the past couple of months, I've been doing a lot of game jams, and I think I've picked up a lot of tips for myself moving into the future game jams, and I wanted to share those tips with you. Number one, most important of all, is to make your game a lot easier than you think it should be. I've had a really bad problem with each game jam. I make the game easy as I can, but it's never easy enough. It's like I always get comments talking about how difficult the game is, and I think I just get lost in the fact that it's my game. I spend a lot of time playing it. I understand the mechanics so well, and it's just very difficult to remember that other people don't know your game as well. They're only going to play it for a couple minutes, so make it as easy as possible. Make sure that they don't really have any obstacle to getting through it other than the amount of time that it takes to play. So, and then if you make the game longer, eventually you can make it a lot harder in a full-fledged game. So the number two tip that I like to try to do in my game jams is polish the game as early as possible. So what I mean by that is create a main menu, create the credit screen, create any kind of animations that you're going to need that aren't necessary, but they're more just for polish, just cleaning things up and making the game feel a little more, not necessarily a commercially finished game, but just a little bit more professional. You know, give the players a little bit more of an experience other than just hitting a button to start the game, which is something that I've done in some game jams, because you get to the end of the game jam, you have 10 minutes left and you don't have a main menu, so you just slap a scene on the front of it and just hit a button. But I'd say maybe halfway through the game jam, just take a couple hours, move away from the mechanics of the game, and just spend some time getting the main menu, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. And I say the main menu, that's the main thing that I think people lose in the polish, but it could be things like sound for things that aren't as important, but just things like that. Just time on the little things. Number three would be to limit your scope of your game to a few very specific mechanics, because whatever your idea is, there has to be something about that game idea that is the most fun or probably the most enjoyable part of the game, and just focus on that. There's no reason to make the game this huge experiment with all these different mechanics. Again, kind of like I mentioned before, people are only going to play your games for a couple minutes at most, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how good it is. So make sure it's as fun as possible. You want to pack the fun and the cool mechanics as densely as you can, so that every second of them playing your small game, they're just having fun. There's no reason for them to feel grindy or anything like that with unnecessary mechanics in such a short span. And then, like the difficulty, if you expand the game into something larger later on, you can add more mechanics and look for more fun. So number four is when you actually finish your game and you upload it and you've submitted to the jam, make sure you go through and spend a lot of time playing other people's games. There's a lot of benefits to doing this. Number one, you build community. You know, you get to support the other people that are doing what you're doing. They have the same hobby as you, so why not support them? You get to provide encouragement to other people. They might be providing encouragement to you, because it is a lot about visibility. If you play other people's games and you comment on their games, they're much more likely to come and play your games. So you get good suggestions from them, good insights, good play testing. And it's also really nice to learn from other people's games, because other people had the same constraints as you did during this competition. So if you see what they do, you see some of the ideas they had around the same themes, you can learn a lot and take that into your next competition. The last thing I'll mention is that you should probably choose a game jam idea or a mechanic that teaches you something new. So don't rely on what you already know or what you've done in game jams in the past. You know, maybe you always make top-down shooting games, and then the next jam comes up and you find some way to take the theme and shove it into a top-down shooter game. There's not a lot of progress being made by doing things like that. You want to try to find a new idea or a new type of game, new genre, something that this game jam will help you learn, because that's the reason we're doing this. These aren't meant to be, they're not necessarily meant to be representations of our skill, but rather an opportunity to spend a short amount of time just really hammering these new skills, learning new things, and just seeing what comes out of it, having fun. And I guess that's the last point, is just make sure you're having fun during all of this, regardless of what you're doing, because the results of the game jam don't matter that much, and what other people think of your game don't matter that much, as long as you're having fun and you enjoy what you're doing. So a lot of this advice is coming from a place of someone that's still learning how to do game jams. I haven't traditionally done very well in these game jams, and that's why these lessons are as much for me as they are for anyone else. So hopefully they're helping you. I would definitely encourage you to do a game jam if you haven't done one in the past. They're a ton of fun, and I'd love to see what you make. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. And I actually have a Patreon set up now, and I'll put a link to that Patreon in the description if you want to support the channel and get your name in the credits of the YouTube videos and any games that I make in the future. That would be awesome. I'd appreciate it very much. Thank you for your time, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.